Ah, my fucking internet cut out. Oh my god, yeah, that was really annoying. And now I have to skip a bunch of things because I had to quit the game and I didn't save because I had no internet. So, yeah, hold on. Yeah, the deductions. That is really annoying. The Wi-Fi just cut out. I was wondering why it's kind of lagging out. I was like, oh no, it's because my internet cut off. Okay. Okay, testimony. Yes. Alright. Your Honor, to testify the validity of these claims, the defense would like both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frager to the stand. Frager? At the mention of her name, the judge's face turned a bit pale. He fidgeted with his gavel, looking towards the bailiff, then towards Steelwind. I had a feeling it would come to this. Oops, I hit the key on accident. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frager to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes! How dare you deceive me? Oh, it looks like she found out. I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, I ask you to exercise discretion. Oh my... Jesus. Fucking lag spike. Oh my god, what? Oh, this is lagging out more than before, what? Oh my god, why is my window? The game's window is blacking out on me. Oh my goodness, why is it doing that? Oh my god. No, stop. Wait, why is the game window doing this? Stop it. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Nope, never mind. It's not. Okay, okay. I did not imply that you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all of that tea that I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand that you return it to me. No, you gave them to me. They're legally mine now. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Fine. I was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her. Hey Penguin, how's it going? Well, yeah, I just recently got off COVID. And also some technical difficulties apparently, because midstream my Wi-Fi cut out. So then, yeah, but then it came back, so yeah, that's all good. It's just got a bit of technical difficulties, specifically with this game in particular. I don't know why it has any to begin with, because it should be just a simple visual novel game. Yet it's kind of causing a bunch of lag spikes for some reason. But yeah, otherwise it's alright. How are you, Fire Sale? Oh, yeah. Yep, those are the lag spikes. Oh boy. It's lagging out my OBS for some reason, even though I have it set to the fastest encoder. Yeah, I've already did my best to try and minimize that from the game, but yeah, it's the best I have to work with until I beat the game. Yes, she was walking in my direction, so I greeted her, and she responded in kind. After that, she headed towards the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. I see. so it was only a brief encounter. However brief it was, the witness's testimony verifies two things. One is that Miriam saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office. The other is that she witnessed the victim head towards the library. This gives us a rough timeline of where the victim was before her death. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library after her meeting? I felt like I would have seen her there if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. And you're sure that you saw her exit the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. She must have been referring to her family's plot to replace him. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? Alright, did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her and she responded. What did she say? Why is that important? It's not important at all. So why? Miss Frege, it's possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every single detail about the victim's interactions could be important. Well, I bid her good morning. She said good morning in response. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of John Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only for a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. We'll just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. What shall Bellwether? Let's press the other statements. Was this research project a part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course you wouldn't. Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? I sense some hostility. If you don't keep an eye on him, House Frege might just steal him back from you. As if His Highness would allow him himself with your rapacious family again. Ha! Our banking houses form the economic infrastructure of our kingdom, but perhaps he'll come to the Steelwinds if he needs to massacre a village of commoners.
With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand?
Of course, Your Honor. And you're sure you saw her exit? Oh wait, I think I already pressed that part. Yes, I remember clearly. Why did she say that? Oh wait, no, I think this might be new dialogue. I don't understand. Why did she say that? Yes, like I said, it was a very short encounter. It only happened over a few seconds. The witnesses' interactions are not what's important here. What matters is that she witnessed where the victim was coming from and where she went afterward. A better good morning, she responded in kind. Went back to my room. Let me look at the evidence again. Oh, that was a very delayed objection. No, that's not it. She walked towards me, I smelled her kind. I like to manage my work. No, that's not it either. Walking towards me, sorry, but good morning. After that, she headed towards the library. Because, yeah, from what I pressed on the third statement, it seems that she was lying. Just trying to figure out how to pull out that contradiction. Focus on the statements about how Bellwether acted. Okay, so just the third statement. No.
Objection!
I've already pressed on the statement, so... And the hint was to just focus on how Bellwether interacted with Miriam.
Objection!
Ah. I don't remember being stuck on this part specifically, which is very strange. She was walking towards me. I bid her good morning. Because it feels like after I pressed her on the third statement, a new one should come up, and then I can just... And I could just object to that, but she doesn't add any more than that. It's just weird. Did I encounter a glitch? Because, no, this is case number 2, so... I hope I didn't encounter a glitch. Hold on a minute. Present Steelwind's deduction on statement 3? What? Oh. Spotted kind? What?
Objection!
Okay, I'm not sure what would this deduction be used for? Miss Frege, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. If I recall correctly, you pulled that information out of me through your lies. Regardless, earlier in today's proceedings, the prosecutor made the following argument. Our first witness saw Bellwether leave the meeting with the headmaster. That would time this encounter around 1 p.m. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, you would have been mistaken. Because that encounter could have only happened during the afternoon. And your point is, you said to yourself, Mr. Cuthbert, the witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance in what the professor said in response. She had just come out of a meeting and that was scheduled for noon and ran for an hour. She would be well aware that it was no longer morning. Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Oh, I see, because she said good morning in kind, I see. Even though it was in the afternoon, I see. The encounter was extremely short and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. It was definitely a stretch, but I still couldn't shake the feeling that Miriam was hiding something. Every time I asked her about how Bellwether acted that day, the Eye of Horus read a suspicious thought. There had to be something there. Miss Frege, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd! What reason would I have to lie? It's such a small detail. Why does he even care? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Frege. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, you'll stop this at once. Miss Frege, you're lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? It doesn't make a difference. All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell. Miss Frege. Is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? What? What do you care? What difference does it make? This peasant. Why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant.
Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this, or I will find you in contempt.
The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frager? Yeah? So what if she did? I'm sorry, but we all clearly heard what you just said. So, you do admit that she yelled at you?
Ah, you impudent little...
Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we've always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something had put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. I am telling the truth. That's all she did. I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. She walked past me. That part was true. So, she wasn't lying about that. So, is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness, all so you can prove what exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony. A detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act of no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it was difficult to disagree with that. I was so sure that the eye would give me a thread to pull on, but she was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head towards the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I guess not. Wait, is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore, and I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam wasn't the one who was lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecutor stayed silent for a while. She almost looked disappointed. Very well, Miriam. You are dismissed. Miriam shot me a look of disdain, but she left the room without protest. The judge let out a sigh as the young noble was escorted out of the room. It was as if he was expecting the young noble to literally explode at any moment. Now with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecution's theory was to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind, to test your theory, we must question every witness who saw that victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call Jean Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witness accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. I didn't like the sound of it, but she was right. Unless I could find something in Jean's testimony, I wouldn't have a case at all. Bailiff, bring him, Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation.
Ah, right. My name's John Hughes. I'm on the cleaning staff of the academy.
Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day.
Alright. I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was about 20 to 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. And she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went into the empty classroom.
Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Shan. What are we supposed to do with that?
I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination.
Did anything else look off about her?
Yeah, probably. She was an undead after all.
That remains to be proven.
If you say so.
Anyways, what was her demeanor like?
She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that, or she was tired. But I guess she was actually just dead.
I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did.
Yeah? Sorry, it's hard to remember these things sometimes.
Did she do anything to you? Did she make it? Okay. Did she interact with you at all? Oh, I hit my Windows key on accident. Oops. Wait.
Oh, yeah. I didn't notice her at first, and I accidentally got in her way. She shoved me to the side and kept walking forward.
This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes.
Whatever you say, man.
She pushed me out of the way. Let me go back to the previous statement. Did she make any sounds? Did you hear her make any sounds?
Oh, yeah. After she knocked her to the face, she had yelled at me to be quiet. But I didn't even say anything.
This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, oh yeah, I think I was supposed to go to the spell. Yeah, can't speak. Objection! Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words?
I think she yelled at me to be quiet.
What?
I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her.
That's the thing, Mr. Hughes. The prosecution's theory, as it follows, the professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you?
Huh?
This can't be right. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken.
No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because what she said didn't make any sense.
Exactly. He didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute.
I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established the victim was dead before her encounter with Mr. Hughes. But if what he saw wasn't an undead, what was it?
It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise it wouldn't have been able to shove Jean out of the way or knock over the vase. Whatever it was, someone probably used an illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does that mean it was a person? No. If it were a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she was dead. And whatever Jean saw, it needed to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would have also needed to have a mass and the ability to speak.
What created Bellwether's voice?
Or at the very least, it needs to be something that can recreate Bellwether's voice. What could have done that? The Arcane Construct. That's it! What? Everyone, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was Bellwether's voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind. It was artificery. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them. One programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice. You can't possibly mean... That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct.
An arcane construct?
It is a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor.
But we ruled out such a possibility, haven't we? Hadn't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom.
A person would have been able to do it, but arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow.
That means that theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it.
The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would have never considered that possibility. It's certainly plausible, but what does this prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all of the acts that you described. His compendium contains illusory disguise after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. From under her table, Stephen pulled out Miriam Frega's bloody rapier.
A sword? Is that?
Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frega weeks before the murder. During the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Wait! He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Damn it! That wasn't what really happened. But honestly, it sounded more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things. Wait, was that really true? The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing.
Who ordered the construct to hide the body?
Could anyone have done that? His voice adjusted, changed or adjusted by the headmaster. It was the headmaster because he's got admin privileges in the school. It was at that moment that several memories flooded back to me. Mr. Hughes, you said the bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words?
I think she yelled at me to be quiet.
She yelled at me to be quiet! Until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Be quiet! Sorry. Be quiet! Eris giggled to herself. She was clearly amused by what was happening. The construct's voice is an amalgam of pre-recorded phrases. I'm not sure if you noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. I knew there was something wrong with it. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than basic responses. Only the headmaster can change those settings. No. Was it him the entire time? What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. I didn't like where this was going, but with the way the pieces were laid out, there was only one explanation. Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse, but that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Wait,
You're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this?
I don't want to believe it, but he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond is 88 years old. He could never do something like this. Steelwind, there's one common element between each of the witnesses' encounters with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them. She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Lily Frege was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her. Almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with John Hughes. The professor knocked over a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after. But he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Now, let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frege and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster.
It appears that the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here.
There's no need. Fortunately for you, I was already in the gallery.
The headmaster stood up from the gallery behind me and slowly made his way onto the witness stand.
Hold on, be right back. Okay.
Had he been here the entire time?
Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but are you trying to say that I am the one who committed this crime?
I'm sorry, Mr. Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I found points to you.
No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths that you're going to defend dear Wallace.
The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond.
How could she speak so cordially, after all she's done? Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day.
Witness testimony.
That day I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her.
I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice old man. Is he really the killer we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. I just needed to find out how to prove it. Discuss various... Okay. So she showed up at exactly 12 p.m.
More or less. Catherine Bellwether was many things, but she was never tardy.
There weren't any witnesses who saw her before the meeting, so I didn't have a way to disprove what he's saying. I needed to look elsewhere in his testimony. How long did this meeting last, Headmaster? So that means that the professor left your office at 1 p.m.
Yes, she was quite adamant about taking time to prepare her lesson plans.
Now that I thought about it, Miriam had no idea what the time was when she saw Bellwether. If the headmaster was lying about when the meeting ended, there'd be no way to verify it, which would account for the hour gap that Steelwind mentioned. Damn it, did the headmaster really do this? After hearing so much about her, I find it hard to believe. A little hard to believe.
I can see why you'd say that, but despite everything, I was still her superior. She always remained professional when speaking with me.
Was that really true then? I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her, well...
Objection!
Redmond, did you really hold no animosity towards Professor Bellwether?
Of course not. I did have strong opinions about how she treated the students, but I always remained professional. We both did.
Oh, right back. Alright, I'm back. Alright.
I did have strong opinions about how she treated the students, but I always remained professional. We both did.
Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job. What?
So, you knew about that?
I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frager, Catherine Bellwether was currently in favor with the school board. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise, but he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's...
Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself.
If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means I'd love to hear it.
Gladly. It is true that I knew about the Fragers' plot beforehand, but I only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as the headmaster and replace the staff with their arcane constructs. Now, you might say that this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Lady Frager. This happened weeks before our meeting. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore, I wouldn't have known to steal Lady Frager's weapon in an attempt to frame her.
Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There is no way that the headmaster would have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plans. That would mean he knew about this weeks ago. But how did he even find out? The best way to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truths and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. But how would I prove that?
Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination.
Let me double check my evidence. But according to Jan, Bellwether revealed his plans to the headmaster during a meeting a few weeks ago. Okay, well there's our evidence. Oh my god. Work with me, game. Tell me about our plan. On the day of the murder. A very laggy objection. Redmond, you keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim?
Of course I am. It's the truth.
I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings.
What? No. Did someone see us?
It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jean Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting. But he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard that the staff will be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard. The professor must have only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan to for the arcane constructs. That would only make sense if she knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to establish an alibi? Redmond, I'm only going to ask you one more time. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Theodore Redmond had done something truly terrible.
The school board rejected my proposed staffing budget. You won't be able to hire more custodians.
Of course they rejected it. Our current janitor simply needs to stop lazing about. Then you wouldn't have to spend all of your free time helping him.
How did you... Is that how they find out? Did you tell them?
I did.
Why? What I do after school hours is none of your concern.
It becomes my concern when the headmaster of my academy debases himself in such a manner. You were mopping floors alongside him like a common servant. Have you no shame?
What else was I supposed to do? You can't possibly expect one man to keep an entire school clean.
Hughes is clearly capable. The academy is spotless despite his lounging about.
Only because he's working during every waking hour. He barely has enough time to sleep.
Please, I've caught him napping on the job more times than I can count. Honestly, you coddle these animals far too much.
Professor Bellwether, I've called you here to discuss your treatment of certain students.
This again?
Do you remember Gillian Fletcher? He was a part of your advanced illusion track.
I remember failing him. His performance during the final exam was laughable.
They found his body in the lake last night. I had always warned you that something like this might happen. I understand that you feel you have responsibilities to the kingdom, but our students are still human beings.
I fail to see how any of this is my responsibility.
Professor, surely even you must understand.
No, I think it's you who fails to understand. He may have been a mage, but he could never walk the path of the Scared Lord's chosen with such a plebeian constitution. What did you think would happen? The real act of cruelty was placing that layabout next to our kingdom's best and brightest. What did you think happens to trash when they're faced with their betters?
You never allowed him the opportunity to succeed. Don't think I'm blind to what's been happening. I've received several reports that you have been harassing the students admitted through the scholarship program.
Then take those reports to the school board, Redmond. If these urchins fall apart over the tiniest bit of criticism, then they have no place here. They can't handle it, Redmond. It's that simple. Maybe this incident will finally make you see reason.
You... What do I do? How do I stop her? It's only a matter of time before the school board names her as the new headmaster. After that, I won't be able to protect anyone from her. I'll be powerless.
That's not how I see it.
What?
You're clinging to shadows, Redmond. Titles, influence, reputation. They're all just illusions. Strip those away, and your Bellwether's equal.
If only it truly worked like that. Reality is far more complicated than that.
Is it though? Her friends on the school board can't pump blood through her veins. Those nobles she dotes on can't draw breath into her lungs. All are equal in death. The survivors are the ones who determine what will be. It doesn't matter if you're a commoner, a noble, or the scared lord himself.
What are you saying?
You should fight for what you believe in. Do whatever it takes to create the universe you want.
Theodore Redmond has done something truly terrible. He had truly despised Catherine Bellwether with all of his heart. In his mind, this world was a better place without her in it. Yet the sound of that rapier piercing her heart had been echoing endlessly within his head. It was as if her ghost were floating over his shoulder, torturing him by repeating her last anguished gasp. It made his stomach churn. He took no pleasure in taking her life, and his soul felt forever scarred for what he'd done.
But you've already come this far, haven't you?
I have already come this far. What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. I'm not done. Not yet.
Headmaster?
So, you truly plan on pushing this, do you?
I won't let anyone stop me from getting justice for Wallace.
Well, your thesis sounds promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work.
Here we go. Argument time.
You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I am an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and could not overpower Bellwether. I could barely walk, much less wield a rapier.
Alright, please. Oh my god, my mouse can't. Oh my god, even my mouse is lagging. Okay. Oh. Arcane construct, come on. Okay. Oh my god, this section's even more laggy, or what the fuck? But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the Arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. But that means that the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you.
Even so, think about what would have transpired afterward. Do you recall Miss Steelwind's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses? With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. I wouldn't have let the construct linger around the library. Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. I was lucky. Lady Frigga can tell night from day.
I was lucky if, yeah. Can't tell night from day. Yeah, okay, it is one of these, okay. Yeah, when a thought contradicts their claim. Contradicts evidence? No, not that. No, it's intuition. Yeah. The time introduced from Miss Frigga's testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, we assume that you're lying about this. When this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frigga would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m.
Miss Frege wouldn't have made a mistake like that.
Miss Frege thought it was morning when she saw bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time.
Then what about where the rapier was placed? If I really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace is one of my prized students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I chose.
Yeah, well, he didn't intend to frame him, obviously. It's because Wallace got bullied AF. No, not that. Was supposed on, no, Glaciers of Further. No. No, not that. Not that. Not that. Bullying students, no. I don't know how to create potential barriers. No. That's not it. But this is the autopsy report. Wait, hold on. What was this line again? I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Okay. Yeah, there's a stain of blood inside the locker with Miriam Frege's ID number. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frege. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous co-worker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her. If Miriam had been implicated, the Inquisition would have immediately swept Bellwether's murder under the rug. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up.
I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason why I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels would have led me to make a careless mistake like that.
I think I select the Arcane Construct? Or do I select the Logic limitation? I'm guessing it's the Construct who did it. Yeah, because yeah, he wouldn't make the mistake, but a Construct would. Yeah, there it is. But it wasn't you, was it? Your Arcane Construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frege. But it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam's.
This is...
Redmond was desperately stammering.
Miss Steelwind, say something.
What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it.
Ha! That's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same thing as proving I did it.
There's a log. I think. Stored in a command log. What? No, yeah, that was the evidence! Okay. What? What? How is that not the evidence? It literally says it right here. Every command given to a construct is stored in its command log. Okay, okay. Do I select this? What, do I just select this again? Oh, okay, I just selected again, I guess. The Arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside it, and we'll see the blood inside. Oh, as in the oh, okay, I see.
Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert?
What? Why did he still look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked the inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What?
The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out.
That still won't erase the magical traces.
Healing spells may leave traces of necromancy, but so would a healing potion. With no evidence of blood, there could be a myriad of reasons why those traces are there.
Well, we can still look at his command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure that whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the constructs to wipe its logs when it was finished. No.
That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best, but I suppose I can still give you marks for trying.
He thought of everything. Did he really get rid of all the evidence? I was running out of options, but I still had one option left.
Ha! It's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion.
He's doing it again. I needed to bring myself back to the moment with Garrett Pierce. Everything was at stake for Wallace in this trial. He endured the collective hatred of everyone who didn't understand what he was doing. Yet he stayed true to his ideals, no matter how much it harmed him. He studied necromancy, all for the betterment of mankind. His life and his future were in my hands, and I would not see his potential destroyed. None can remain concealed. I activated the empowered eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there was still no such thing as the perfect crime. There had to be something that he forgot to get rid of.
I wonder, did I leave any other piece of evidence behind? I was far too reckless, but I needed some way to keep that lecture hall empty.
Oh right, you must have botched the alchemy experiment on purpose to keep the lecture hall clear. But that didn't really tell me anything I could use right now. There was nothing there for me to use.
Why was the construct in the locker room? It shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter. It wiped its logs. That's all that matters. They have nothing.
So he did order it to wipe its logs. In order to cover all of its tracks, it probably would have done this last.
I can't believe I put myself into this mess for Bellwether of all people. Why do I feel remorse for her? She deserved what happened to her.
There was nothing for me to use.
I did everything I could to cast doubt on Freya's brat. I can't believe Valerie placed a trace of necromancy on the body. To make matters worse, the construct placed the evidence in the wrong locker.
So he did send the construct to the locker room to plant the evidence. He must have also fabricated the documents that accused Miriam of cheating. It was all to make her look like the murderer, but this still doesn't give me anything new to work with. There was nothing for me to use. Actually, let's go take a look-see to see if he actually did fabricate those documents. Oh, okay, he's just repeating it. Okay, he's just repeating it. Okay, I guess the lockdown system.
I had to do everything I could to shift guilt away from myself. But did I leave any holes in my alibi? No, I accounted for everything. There was no possible way I left any evidence behind.
There was nothing there for me to use. Okay. No. Okay.
The construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in the lecture hall 2B. Then plant the evidence in Freya's locker. We were supposed to head to the storage room afterward. What happened?
Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room. Wait, he ordered the construct to go to the storage room. It should have done that after it was finished planting the evidence in the locker room. But we found it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? The lockdown. It got stopped by the barrier. Right, the body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. That means he probably started the lockdown while the construct was still in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? But does this change anything? Oh god, the lag. Series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. Right, the series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in the order that they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it would deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it would stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in a series of commands is impossible, then that command will interrupt the entire series? If Redmond was trying to cover his tracks, the construct's final command would be to wipe its memory. But if its orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then... Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? You're not giving up, are you? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you gonna prove that how are you gonna prove he did it if he's not on the stand? Don't worry. The next witness's testimony will be all I need. The next witness? That look on your face isn't one of resignation.
Ha! It's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me...
You've let him get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring in the Arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. We've already established that the murderer could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second. Fine. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct. What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1, stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2, await vocal signal, attack from Theodore Redmond. Redmond stood up from the gallery, his face turning from confusion to terrified realization. Steelwind watched him carefully, clutching the handle of her cane. Command 3, treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize.
Construct, wipe your...
Huddle! Before he could finish his order, the prosecutor whipped out her cane and pointed it square at the headmaster. The headmaster tensed as his body tightened and he fell over, restrained by magical energy. He struggled against the spell to no avail. He could watch through gritted teeth as the construct continued.
Miss Steelwind?
Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4. Await vocal signal leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5. Move to classroom 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice line number 3. Command 6. Remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond.
How? How? I ordered the construct to wipe its command history.
Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute.
Impossible? How are my commands impossible?
You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system.
The lockdown?
I imagine you never expected anyone to go to Lecture Hall 2B. But the Ionis twins discovered the body earlier than you expected. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. It would have been suspicious otherwise. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this.
So that's why it was there.
The construct finished its task in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It attempted to move to the storage room, but was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible. So the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history.
No.
Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had her place the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Frege. And we have your construct's testimony to prove it. That's your last move, Redmond. That's checkmate. Hold on, it's lagging a bit. Okay. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster?
She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Freges.
Why didn't you say anything? I could've...
Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Freges acted alone? The Grand General is also on the school board, and he endorsed this plan just as much as they did.
What?
I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to you and the prince's lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of them. By the scale, Lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. Why did I do this?
He said, why did I listen earlier?
It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell.
Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it!
It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders.
It does, but Headmaster Redmond... What am I going to do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. If the school board replaces him with someone like Bellwether...
Come on, don't think like that. You've been acquitted. You still have your freedom.
I wanted to agree, but the study of necromancy was outlawed. Without Redmond's support, there weren't many places he could learn it. And then there was staff at the Imperial Academy.
Hey, not you too.
Sorry, but Valentina, Valerie, and Jean, they're all going to lose their jobs.
Come on, you found the truth and you put a murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace.
She's right. As we exited the courtroom, we were greeted by Mr. Mora. At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You did what you set out to do. You should be proud of yourself for that. I just wish I could do more.
No, none of that. I'm taking all of us to that restaurant we went to last time.
Do you remember how much that place cost?
Don't worry, I have plenty of gold.
Am I the only one on this team not making any money? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment.
Alright. Let's go, Wallace.
Okay. You used that ability again, didn't you? She didn't appear to be praising me. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now that you've used that ability to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow. One day you'll find a witness that it won't work on. It's worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. But I couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what would happen to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? I can't believe it. It was really Theodore the entire time?
Can we talk about something else? Thinking about all that is really bumming me out.
I hope I'm not interrupting. Oh great. What do you want? I've always tried to act with more compassion than my fellow aristocrats, but I suppose I'm still blind to the privilege I was born with. I'm truly sorry if my words during the trial were insensitive to your circumstances. I've been speaking with the students here. There's quite a bit of outrage about your firing. Wait, really? The idea of a machine doing your job doesn't seem to sit well with the student body. While not everyone was as sympathetic as I hoped, most everyone agrees that your leaving would be a tremendous loss. I've spoken with the head of the student council. We believe we can convince the school board to keep you on staff. You can do that? But is that what you want, Valentina? I don't see the working conditions here improving without Redmond as headmaster. Well, we've got to make a living somehow. There's actually a merchant out in Oranax who takes in an interest in people like you and your sister. He's recently purchased a condemned building in the city, and he's looking to turn it into a restaurant. I remember how delicious your meals were when I was a student here. I'm certain he would hire you if I asked. Really? Would you be interested in that? It's a bit of a gamble, but your employment wouldn't be left to the whims of the nobility. Of course. Good. I'll contact him later today. You'll probably be hearing from him soon. She's not so bad for a noble. I don't know if I buy it, but you've heard about what her dad's been doing, haven't you? Don't be so pessimistic. She seems nice.
I'm kinda with Valentina on this one. Something's always been up with the Steel Winds. Do you remember that scandal all those years ago?
No, actually. What happened?
Right, you two were probably just kids when it all went down. But it was big news at the time. That girl's mom went on a rampage and massacred a village full of farmers, children included.
Scaled Lord.
Lucio Steelwind's violent streak didn't start with these rebellions. I think they had a bad marriage or something. He couldn't wait to get rid of her. After what she did, he personally prosecuted her and demanded a death sentence. He even carried out the execution himself.
He really is a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I trust anyone raised by a guy like that.
See, there's always something up with the aristocrats. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not getting my hopes up until I hear from this merchant from Oranax. But hey, if I do get that restaurant, we'll need someone to help us clean it up. Keep it clean. You interested, Jan?
Leading one small restaurant instead of an entire school? I'm falling asleep just thinking about it.
Okay, just make sure you still do your job, okay? Okay, yeah, that's definitely a cutscene that wasn't there before. In the previous version.
Man, Steelwind's been keeping the old-timer here for hours. What's there even to ask at this point?
It turns out she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene.
I mean, he is pretty old.
Yeah, well, she found that damned symbol etched onto his desk. Or what did she call it? The purple mark?
Oh, for the love of... not this again.
Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. At least this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it.
Cast sleep.
Hey! What's up with... Wait. Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how?
That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget.
Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether.
Oh, you people never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day was...
Oh fuck, I skipped on accident. God damn. The lag keeps throwing me off.
Everything I did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. You even broke into Lady Freya's room. I never thought you were capable of such things, young Theodore. It's such a shame, though. I wish I could have gotten Wallace to play the villain instead of you. Could you imagine if he turned? Armies of the undead, running rampant in the streets. It would have been spectacular. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt him. He falters in every other situation, but when it comes to necromancy, his will is adamantine.
Answer me. Who are you? What are you?
Who am I? I'm the ruler of the Sixth Circle, the Lord of Shadows.
Yay, we did! We beat the chapter. Yeah, and I think it's automatically gonna go to the next one. Yeah, hold on. Alright. And that marks the end of the stream. Now, I've been thinking, because of all the technical difficulties I've had with this game that have just spontaneously appeared out of nowhere, I have no idea why this game keeps lagging out, but I'm thinking of just dropping the series altogether. Because, I mean, I've already played out the older version, I've already completed it, and I have pretty much no issues with lag. But for some reason, this new version is causing my stream to lag so much, And it just doesn't make sense as to why it's doing that. Because it's a visual novel. It's just a visual novel. It should not be doing that. Like, it should not be taxing this much of out of my CPU, and yet it does for some reason. I don't know why. So I think I just have no choice but to drop the series altogether, because it's become a pain to play when it's like this. I don't know why it does it. I mean, I tested the game like when I'm not streaming, and it ran smoothly. But when for some reason I'm streaming this, it somehow lags my entire computer out, which is really strange, because I've streamed other games that aren't visual novels, that are normally more intensive than a regular visual novel would be. Like, for example, Skyrim, Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition, Fantasy Life, and so far, I've pretty much had little to no lag with that. And I even checked my VODs in those streams and didn't have any difficulties with that. And, okay, well, so far the games that would absolutely lag out my computer would be like VR Chat, or even Baldur's Gate 3, which are naturally heavily intensive games, which, yeah, that's pretty much understandable as to why they would be pretty laggy. Well, when VR Chat's case, when I'm playing the game on an actual VR headset, when I'm on desktop mode, there's no lag involved. But yeah, I played other 3D games and other games that would only be more resource consuming than a visual novel game, and they worked out fine. Like, hold on, let me take a look at what games I've streamed before. Let's see here. Yeah, I played Wildermyth, which is definitely way more intensive than a normal visual novel game. I remember it was lagging the hell out when I was streaming this game on my MacBook Pro, but then when I streamed the game on my gaming laptop, it ran perfectly fine. The game ran so smoothly and fast, so I had no problems with it. And then I did Skyrim, nothing wrong with that. Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3. I never streamed Veilguard because the writing and design for that game pretty much went downhill. So I just didn't bother streaming Veilguard. I streamed Outer Worlds. The game went smoothly. I streamed Ixia, which is another VR platform role-playing game that's multiplayer, and it ran completely fine, no lag whatsoever. And I played Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, no problems here, no lag whatsoever. Or there may have been a little bit at one point, but I think it might be just a glitch or something. I even played other visual novel games like Ace Attorney, the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is the 3D version, which is a 3D Ace Attorney game, and that worked fine. I played Ace Attorney Investigations Collections, worked completely fine. I played Trials of Innocence, another visual novel investigation game, completely fine. I don't know why specifically that the remastered version of Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane, just lags the hell out of my stream. Even though I've already streamed like multiple visual novel games and other investigative games, and I had no issues in terms of technical difficulties. It's just this game specifically for some reason. I don't know why. So I think I just have no choice but to drop the game, because those lag spikes are way too annoying, and I already tried everything I could possibly think of to remedy these issues, and so far they haven't done much. And obviously I don't like my ears getting bombarded with really lag spiked music and the sounds, because sometimes I end up getting startled by how the lag is affecting the sound. Yeah, the overall audio in the game. I think, I just no choice but to drop it. And not to mention the lag's also throwing me off. when it came to specific dialogue. So yeah, that's why, yeah, I think I'm just gonna drop this game. I've already played this game before anyway, but it's an older version of it, and it was way less laggy. And I more or less know the story. It's just there are obviously some content that that they recently added in the remastered version, like some of the cutscenes that expand more on the characters that are involved in each case, which I like. It's just a shame that I don't know why I'm experiencing these technical difficulties specifically. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that it's this game specifically that's causing my stream to lag out. Because again, I've already streamed multiple visual novel investigative games on this computer, and I've had no issues with that. But yeah, but for Tyrion Cuthbert, the remastered version, it just completely lags it out. It causes my CPU usage to spike for some reason. I have no idea what part of it caused that. I even fiddled with the settings multiple times and it still lags out, so I have no idea why it keeps doing that. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I think, yeah, with that, yeah, I more or less have to discontinue the series. As I'm pretty ashamed that I had to do this, but the technical difficulties is messing with the flow of things and screwing over my fun of the game. I don't know why. I've already put out a message in the discussion channels of the Steam community page for this game, and so far, with the new updates that came by to fix the game, didn't seem to make much of a difference. Yeah, normally I would be tolerant of games that are understandably laggy, but in this case it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I put up with VR chat because I like the roleplay, and I changed the settings enough for it to be bearable. Which, yeah, I was still able to do it. I just gotta be careful with how I move my character and such, and made sure to make the roleplay for my VR chat RP character practical. So basically have my character be full support and not having to rely on combat to be useful. Because obviously the lag would fuck with my aim whenever I'm using a gun or whenever I'm engaged in melee combat. So it's better if I, yeah, take an approach like that. But in this case, it doesn't. The game just doesn't give me any openings to, well, make it bearable, which is very disappointing. I mean, I probably played the remastered version off stream because it's a lot smoother. I don't know why it just keeps messing. I just don't know why it has horrible compatibility with my OBS. It's fully updated and everything, so I have no idea why it has horrible compatibility with my OBS whenever it's streaming. But yeah, it's a shame. But on the bright side, I get to move on to the more newer games like Outer Worlds 2 and the Oblivion Remaster. I'm thinking of also maybe streaming Hogwarts Legacies, because I did buy that game like a while ago and I didn't want to stream it, but unfortunately, at the time I was too nervous to stream that game around the time it was released because, well, the Hogwarts Legacy the Hogwarts Legacy controversy was happening at that time, and yeah, there's a bunch of mass reporters who would falsify reports and absolutely cancel the shit out of your Twitch channel and get it banned. And for small-time creators like myself, well, yeah, if that happens, then I wouldn't be able to essentially stream again. Unless you have, like, partnership or some connections that would allow you to bail out of these false reports that would have you essentially banned from the platform. Or from streaming ever on the platform, even. But given how everything's more or less cooled down, at least it should be at this point, I might consider streaming Hogwarts Legacy, but other than that, yeah. I'll be moving on to the more recent games that have come out that I have expressed good interest in playing them, like Oblivion Remastered. But anyway, farewell for now.